Hey everyone. So I posted a video on our Discord the other day, and I don't think I was very clear with showing exactly what was going on in that video. I didn't really like say anything or point like, "Hey, this is what's changed." And I feel like honestly, the reason why I did that was because I really wanted to do it in a video form. I wanted to kind of say, "Hey, this is what's going on. This is what's changing," because it is a very kind of nuanced functional thing, but it's based off of something that a lot of people were actually suggesting we do, from the initial feedback we got from people testing the game, like kind of internal testing, but then also when people have been playing our demo that we put out on Steam, a lot of people have been basically saying that the way that the hotbar works with the hotbar selector is there's some clunkiness to it. There's some parts to it that people don't like. And people suggested, oh, it should work like this. And so I figured, okay, um, this might be a good time to actually do that. So, and also actually one of the reasons why I decided to do this now is because this also actually solves a different problem that we were also having regarding, I believe, I'm trying to remember what exactly it is. It'll come back to me, but basically it has to do with really the consuming items at this moment. There probably will be some other items that this will pertain to as well, but right now this largely pertains to items that the player can consume, and I will kind of show you what that looks like. So right now you can see there's the hotbar selector, and you can hit the number keys on your keyboard, and that will change it, or you can use the scroll wheel to change it as well. And one of the things that happened was that when you are consuming an item, what happens is it will basically lock the hot bar. So if you're in combat and trying to eat something, the problem is that you'd have to go through the eating animation, and once it's done, then you can basically move and go back to your weapon, right? And there's a lot of there's a reason why that was done that way, and there was some problems that were trying to be kind of solved by doing that. Ultimately, it just had to do with the fact that you could potentially consume the item and then switch your item, and then that would like uh, have you could switch and then switch back to your consuming item and then consume again, and so you could actually consume at a faster rate. Different things like that that were originally trying to be addressed. And at the time, originally, it was I was considering doing doing things a different way that was a little bit more less blocking to the end user, um, but I was kind of like, I don't know if it's going to cause issues, but now we're here. So with all that being said, basically as you can see here, I'm about to consume an item. So if I consume it, the selector will turn red, and the red is just indicating that uh, the item updating has been changed, or it locked, I guess you can say. So you can still move around the selector. Like here, it's green, right? You can move it around. If it goes red, you can still move it around. It's just that the red basically means that your item that you're holding in your hand, the active item, is not going to change until it goes green. So what I'm going to do very quickly here is I'm going to eat the this mushroom, and then I'm going to switch to the sword, and you're going to see what will happen. So you can see that I was able to switch to it, but it didn't change the item I was holding here, right? So it's a very, like I said, it's a very nuanced thing. So that's pretty much it. And that is helpful. I know people have said this before, that it would be very helpful if you could just do that. You could consume an item and then auto switch to your next thing that you want to switch to, so you don't have to, like, in the middle of combat, wait, right? You can just do that action, and then when your character's finishing eating, they can switch. And so what that ultimately means is that when you consume that item, it's kind of like a reload. The reason why there's an animation isn't just to have a cool animation, it's also so that the rate at which you can consume items is slowed down by the fact that the animation is a thing. So, you can't just switch, right? It in that kind of sense. Um, and that a funny thing to mention, because this was another thing that I even thought about, like, can people like quick switch, like if a weapon has a really slow swing speed, can they do like a quick switch to try to get a faster swing rate by like canceling the item and things like that, doing trying to reset the kind of timer internally. And so far, we aren't in that situation. There's probably going to be some situations where that might happen, and we'll have to resolve that through other means. Maybe those weapons would have a slower equip time potentially, or which kind of nulls that out, kind of null and voids that exploit, or potentially making it so that the refresh, the kind of the timer doesn't reset, and then it just pauses, and that when you re-equip the item, it resumes. I don't know. I guess the more logical, the more like kind of realism, logical way to think about it is that the equip time should be longer for that item, potentially. I don't know. It ultimately is a basis of whether or not that makes sense. But the last thing I want to do in this video is actually kind of show this little change actually happening in action, because I happen to show up right next to a this structure with some kobolds. So I'm pretty sure I can go and kind of... Oh, yeah, this kobold camp. So I can actually show this all happening. Trying to see if there's more. I'm not going to kill you yet, kobold. Just wait a second. Okay, here they all are. Here they're all... So I can, like... Let's actually have this working, right? So there you go. You saw I did it at one time. I should really eat the potatoes. I shouldn't be eating... Oh, geez. Okay, here we go. So there you saw it again. I could do this. I can eat the item. I can still scroll wheel around. Good stuff. So, yeah. That's pretty much the entire feature. It's this basic thing that a lot of people were asking about, because it is kind of clunky that, like, you can't... That when you're consuming an item, you can't then, you know, take the action of changing what you're selecting. And, you know, you should be able to do that. There's nothing necessarily, as far as I can tell, that is exploitable about that. It's... You're just telling the game, hey, the next time you're able to update the active equipped item, change it to this, right? Even if it's disabled. Like right now, like when it goes red, it's disabled. So when that disabler is enabled, right? When the selector is re-enabled, you can then... It'll at that moment update to your sword, and you know you can go from there. So that's pretty much the feature. So yeah, thank you all for watching, and you know, thanks for watching.